this mid-tone over this mini because it's quite big and bulky. He's not somebody you want to meet on a dark night after a few drinks when you're feeling a bit gobby. Oh, well, that's something you may regret doing. But it will be interesting to see what would happen sometimes. Some of these gobby drunks run into somebody like this. Oh dear. I've got one of those weird imaginations. So I'm working my way steadily through this. Again, as I said, this is the actual colour of the mini. It's not the Caliban green, the dark green that we put on at first, which is how I usually paint. But we'll see what I do with this one. I will probably put a green wash on this again at the end, just to make it look a little bit neat and mix all the colours in together so that it's not looking a bit odd. But we'll see how it goes. Until we can see how the paint has dried, it's difficult to say and plan what we're going to be doing at the end of the mini, or even the end of the painting, depending on, you know, if you're doing a piece of artwork on canvas, you never see how that is going to be until it's near enough finished. And even if you're working from your own imagination, which is something I like to do, you know, it's you know, sometimes I think this is not going right, this is not going right, this is not going right, and then they add one colour, a couple of brush strokes, and oh yes, spot on. And the best thing about working from your imagination is that nobody can tell you it's wrong, because it's in your head, not theirs. Remember that. In your mind, you can do anything you wish to do when you're trying to put it down on paper, or models, or in your imagination is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And it's one of those things that I really wish I could tap into a lot more. But you know, I'm seeing these, you know, like people like Jeremy at Black Magic Craft and Wylock, and seeing the kind of things they're creating. And I know it's a case of doing it either because they need something for a D&D game, or you know what, but imagination to work things out and get things out they want it is unbelievable. And I think it's brilliant. I just wish I had the imagination that would allow me to do things like that. I used to write some short stories years ago. I don't think I would do that now. I just like putting my imagination as to making nice landscape paintings, and that keeps me happy, it relaxes me. I don't know if certain medication or health issues that I have is what's causing this, but you know, I can look at different people doing things and yeah, that looks so easy, and then come try to do it yourself. How on earth do people think of these things? Because even stuff that looks so obvious, I just think whoever thought of it is a genius. You know, whoever thought at one point that the polystyrene sheets could be made into buildings and game terrain and stuff like that. You know, they must have had a stroke of genius at some point. And you think now that it's so obvious and it's always been done, but somebody must have done it. You know, you see so many people doing it now, but somebody must have done it for the very first time. And whoever that was, I think the gaming world owes you a debt of gratitude. Oh, well, I am waffling, I know that. I'm just on one of those. That's one of those moves tonight, I think. But oh yeah. I must admit though, that I'm glad I am where I am today. It was 12 years ago tomorrow. Or yeah. When I'm doing this video, when I'm shooting this video, it's you know, 12 years ago. I was in a really, really dark place, emotionally, psychologically, and you know, I'm so happy to be in a place where I am, even though things aren't going all my way. You know, we all have our own issues, but it's, you know, it just shows, don't do things on the spur of the moment. No matter how bad things are, it can improve. And I know most of you saying, Stephen, shut up. All we want to do is learn how to paint this thing. We don't want to blooming, what you call it, life lesson. The thing is, everything is a life lesson. Everything teaches you something about life. Painting teaches you how to just sit down, do something, just to clear your mind, just to keep your head focused on something other than your worries, because it is totally impossible to worry about something and think of something stressful when you're painting. There we are. In my case, it's almost impossible to think about something, like for example what I'm going to say next when I'm painting. But you know, we're getting some what do you call it, we're getting some dark, so lighter and lighter shades on this as time goes on, so it's not going to look as weird as it does at the moment. Some areas aren't going to get touched at all with this after this one, because as I said, this is the main colour of this particular area, and the main colour we don't want it to look, or we don't want the main colour to look anything different to what we're actually painting it. So this is why we do this. Paint the colour that we want it to be as the base colour. We wash it. In this case, however, the wash didn't work out the way we wanted it, so we're doing something different. But that something different can always teach us something about life. Because this didn't go my way, I've had to reevaluate things and work around it. And again. I could have so easily give up and thought, no, I'm not carrying on, but I didn't. And I'm hoping this is going to be quite an interesting look to this mini once I've actually got it finished. Okay, so we're getting to the very final part of this stage where we're painting the little bits of leg that is on show. Now, I did mention at the beginning of this particular part of the video, before I started highlighting everything, that this setup I've got now is my new airbrush. I haven't actually used it yet. I'm thinking of doing videos chatting my progress with this. I've never used an airbrush before. I'm completely new to the art form, so I'm thinking it might be an idea just to do a little something for anybody else who's just bought one. Now, what's that? I will be sort of like doing what I think is right, and if when I do start doing the videos, I will be what's the word I'm looking for? I will be trying certain things, tips and tricks that I've learned from, or that I've seen on YouTube videos. But if anybody can give me any assistance giving me tips on how to do things better or an easier way, then as I said, once I've started the videos, then I'll be grateful for any input that can come my way, as long as it's constructive. As you know, I only deal with a constructive criticism here, so anything that I think is not constructive or just being picky will get a different kind of reply than they would if it was constructive criticism. Yeah, so I think that is the best I can do for that. And the chances are these shadow areas are way too prominent, but as I say, hopefully once I've got the wash done and dusted, it should be okay. Right, back into the Inky by Darkness for this bit, because we're going to be doing the gloves. So we're sticking with this fella. There's a little bit of skin that I've missed there, I forgot about that. So I'm glad I decided to do this bit first, because it's showed me somewhere I've missed. So it won't take long to sort that out. It's just a case of going back into that green. There we go. You don't have to be super careful with this bit, because let's face it, it's just a glove. Nobody's going to be looking at the paintwork on the glove too much, especially as it's only a tabletop standard painting anyway. You know, they're going to be looking at this while playing the game. They're not going to be looking at this as some form of display model. At least, it better not be. So as I said, we'll go back into this green again, and we just go over here with this, just to show that it is bare flesh and not any form of material covering. And it seems to be that there's not much in the line of shadow detail in that particular arm. Right, I'm sorry about that. The just when you're thinking that one thing, everything's going fine, something has to go wrong. I'd forgotten to delete something off my flash drive, not my flash drive, my memory cards on my phones, and in fact it was all the goblin painting footage that I did, and we've lost all that, well, not lost all that footage, but we ran out of space on my flash, on the memory card, so I've had to quite literally go and put it all on the computer, and luckily I caught it near enough straight away, so you've not really missed anything at all in the lines of the painting. It's just quite literally a case of I saw it happen out of the corner of my eye, realised what was going on and stopped. So there we are. Now what we have to do next, I'm trying to think of what I was talking about before I had to stop, but that was ages ago, so I can't, and I really should have listened to my phone before I started again, but I didn't. Yes, I have to repaint this bit because I accidentally dropped my camera when I was taking it off, I think, and it landed on this orc. So his head's a little bit worse for wear at the moment. I've given him a bit of a headache. So it's basically a case of add some paint and then we can, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh yeah. And patch it up, that will do. Now then, what I want to try is go back into this red colour, and I want to see if this is still behaving strangely like it was the other day. It doesn't seem to be. I think adding that wash, just put a coating on the surface of the model, and allowed it to just noticed I've missed an area with this green paint, which is why I'm going back. I've also caught an area of that with the green paint. Oh well. So yeah, it's just a case of top up here, and then once that's done, we can get on with further highlights, because I need to do the boots, and then we can start on highlighting, on doing the actual highlighting rather than applying the mid coat or mid tone. There we are. Right, so what's that? So the boots were Dimble Brown. So let's move you out of the way, and we can add some Dimble Brown to these boots. Now again, trying our best to just touch the raised areas and the flat areas. We're not intentionally going into the recessed areas, let's put it that way. It's the easiest way of saying it, I suppose. Again, the same technique we've used all along. I think I was talking about the airbrush and how I've not started using it yet, and intending to do a little video log kind of thing of my efforts to use it and teach myself how to use it. And as I say, obviously there'll be people out there who know how to use an airbrush, and that is good. What we do need, however, is advice, or we may need advice sometimes. So if you do have any advice you can give me once I start and you see the kind of things I'm doing, please feel free. So there's the boots done. Next, we're going to get, I need to go back into the Evil Sun Scarlet and just touch on this bit here. Have we got anywhere else over with green? Don't think I have, but anything's possible. Let me just touch that there and over a little bit on the edge here. Okay, right. Now we're going to have some fun.